Assalamualaikum dan apa khabar semua. Lama saya tak buat video, and if you can see from my video posting in Hello Dr. Mona YouTube channel, most of the time I would be very happy to share video about my cooking activity or anything casual about my daily routine at home on the weekend. But today I would like to give some reflection about graduate on time, especially for the postgraduate study. Each person has different reflection about this topic, and I wish to share my reflection based on my personal experience. Alhamdulillah, I did my PhD study in September 2011 and completed this study in an early 2015. I am among one of those who was destined to graduate on time and was rewarded a note of excellence from UTM, University Technology Malaysia, for my Viva presentation. I was lucky that I was among those who was chosen to receive a Best Student Award for that particular year, with among other selected candidates from other faculties. I believe that was also a form of rezeki given to me by Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala, even though there were many candidates who were very brilliant, more talented and better off than me. The reason why I do this video, not because I wanted to boast about my little PhD achievement. The reason why I do this video is because I would be very happy and pleased if you could benefit or to get some idea from my humble sharing in this video. Whatever I said or I share with you is very personal, and everyone has their own perspective as we are experiencing different living background, challenges, life experience and exposure to real participation in this truly research process. We have a valid reason why we wish to embark this postgraduate study, even though we are aware the risk that we are taking, the chances of whether you finish your research work within the time frame which is GOT, you may delay your completion due to various reasons, which you deserve to extend of this researching work until your 7th semester, maximum 7 or 8, I can't remember. Or another option is that you give up, and you are aware enough that if you are on your scholarship, you have to ensure that your research should be ideally completed within that 3 years. If you give up along the way of your journey, there are consequences you need to face. Be a good citizen, you need to repay back your scholarship. And in fact, even if you are graduate on time, you are also still bonded with 7 years contract for the amount that the government spent within that 3 years of study. I know this is not an easy choice to make, but you have to decide what suit you best. And of course, ideally, if I were rich, I wish to finance my study without having to rely on the financial support. And of course, I need to have my own adequate time to work on my research project without having to apply a study leave. But the reality is that you have to make a choice in life, and you use the scholarship money, and you must always remember that the money isn't yours. It's a privilege for you to appreciate. It is very difficult to manage my study and to work at the same time and to cope with the life commitment. It is all about about a person. I decided to take a break from the work, therefore I could have more focus on my study, but then again I really have to manage and organize my time for the study purpose and my family. even though you are on study leave, the time management is crucial and really depending on you as a person. During my first year, I really put my timetable fixed that from 8 a.m. to before 5 a.m. I will be in the campus, do my researching work, and that require discipline and your own motivation. I see that I have a friend that I meet daily, a very few friends that I see them daily. I also have a friend that I only can see them monthly, or a weekly friend. And another cluster is that I call them as a once in the blue moon friend, which I seldom see them in the campus. Sometimes I hate it very much when the supervisor of this friend came to me and asking where my friend is. The polite answer that I can say at that time, why don't you call them personally, because I don't want to interfere into their research business. So what is a big point is that about your research progress, it's a question of how you give time to yourself in doing this research work. Okay, I would like to take your attention to this graduate statistic in 2018 by the Department of Statistics Malaysia, showing that the number of graduate has increased to 7.6 from 4.6% in 2017. It is reported by Malaysian Educational Statistics that about approximately 400,000 undergraduate, representing of 79% of population student in the higher learning institution, and about 94,000 postgraduate student, approximately about 17%, and the remaining of 4% of others. It shows that this group of people, they are taking this study risk. So it is not that we should be afraid about the risk, but we have to think about how we minimize the risk. Doing PhD is not just a matter of you just doing it. The most very important is that you need to search the soul of this study. It's very important and of course very difficult. I remember before I decided to pursue this PhD study, almost majority of my colleagues of my same age, even some of them are very much junior in service, were very keen and excited to do the PhD study. At that time, I don't see PhD as equally important than my professional certification, and I always have in my mind that to pass my test of professional competence with the Board of Valuers as a registered valuer was more important. I'm always positive about it, even though it was a struggle for me to work at the same time to fulfill my TPC requirement. And strangely, life doesn't work like what I planned. I passed my PhD in 2015, and only in 2017 I passed my professional certification. I don't get envy or even bother at that time to those who were more junior in service in my department or in other department has gone doing the PhD. And of course some colleague was asking me about it, but I care less and I don't bother. Until one day I was called by a senior in my department who advised me to consider doing this PhD study. The first thing I did was I asked senior who did not complete the PhD, had a chat with them, get some advice, and I also asked those who have completed the PhD study. And I realized that the idea or the advice from those who did not complete and those who are successfully completed the study were about the same, but they are looking at a different perspective. You need to understand that PhD study is not just you go for a study leave as if like you are doing your undergraduate study, which everything is there for you. The timetable, the plan, the classes are there for you to pick up, whereas in PhD is very much independent and you have to choose your own time and which class you wish to attend. So this is a learning process that I'm talking about, which require time, in which you have to prepare systematically. Therefore, when you decided, you are bold enough in taking this risk and learn ways to minimize the risk by taking some little precaution and preparation. You must understand that this study is an independent study and how much you are ready to work on it. Remember it very well. One of my senior at work, he knows that I was skeptical and wasn't ready to do my PhD. So this senior was giving me some idea like, why don't you, before you do your PhD, you do a small research, you know, one, good if more, you lead the project and don't forget to put me as your team member. I may not helping you in doing the research work, but I would contribute some idea. And if you can manage your small project, then you can go ahead, you will be fine. I took the idea seriously and started to apply a research grant. In fact, I managed to secure a few research projects, even though at that time I knew very little about research. So while my colleagues were busy applying scholarship for PhD study, I was busy to learn about how to prepare a research proposal in securing a research grant. I thank you to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala because I was given a chance to secure a research grant even before I was entitled as a PhD doctorate. I completed my first research, which I obtained about 22,000 within the time frame given. And I was a proud leader. I realized one thing, that if you lead a project, how small the project is, you are actually learning and willing to take the responsibility, and your team member, they just follow. Lucky if they have patience like you, but most of the time the team member will just take for granted and then don't really bother about your project. I mean, the detail of the project, and you have to take care of this detail, of course, because you are the leader, right? You lead and give instruction. And maybe because I have successfully completed my research work, I was excited to apply another research grant. Again, I won another small research grant about the same amount, which I was very happy, because I can do paper presentation, and at the same time I was busy doing my administrative work and teaching. One day, the same senior was calling me and said, Mona, good that you prove yourself, you complete your research grant, but if you keep on continuing doing this research, one day you're going to have difficulty to get a grant, because those with doctorate would challenge your credibility, even you are good at research. But because you know that you have no title and the world is cruel, and I started to think, yeah, he was right. It took me more than 2 years to understand a little bit about research, and a year before I started this PhD journey, I have listened to many research methodology classes. And very funny, I realized that the method and technique also follow the current trend. You need to be flexible in adapting a new thing. I see those who are rigid having difficulty to maneuver the research work, and it will take longer time to complete. And in fact, during my PhD study, I was busy attending many research classes, including baking classes. I don't know why during my PhD study, I have patience and would like to learn more about baking cookies, cakes, and I don't know why now I stopped baking. So in my first year, after I registered as a PhD student, I was lucky I attend Prof. Ramaya class at my university. I think the university has made an arrangement to invite Prof. Ramaya. He was talking about data analysis. I was very impressed and did not really understand what he said, because he was talking about the advanced statistic on research, in which I did research more into descriptive analysis. I did not really understand everything he said, but at least he gave me some idea on how I should look at all the information so that to suit with my study. I met many people along this journey, and of course I invested a lot. I attend those research methodology classes, whether it is a free class or payable class. I am an obedient student and always listen to my supervisor, and my life is just not focused on PhD alone. What I'm trying to say here is, if you wish to complete or graduate on time, it's not as easy as some of the classes offer the method for you to graduate on time. It is totally depends on the person effort, on the credibility and the time you spend. I believe those who GOT, he or she must have a good exposure on research, technically some try and error doing on research, and do the research groundwork, I think 2 or 3 years in advance before they embark into the PhD study. It is very, very difficult for you just to go and fight with the PhD monster within that period, and you are not ready and prepared. There are so many things to learn and digest within that 3 years. As human, we need time to learn. Even if you want to master cooking, how many years took you to master that cooking, and you are still not master? I may be wrong, but truly anything we do in life require time. Even if you are marrying a person, like me, nearly 10 years in marriage, I am still learning about my husband character, some of the behavior. Until now also, I am still learning and exploring a new angle in research process, because every task are different and unique. For your information, currently I lead a research project, and the challenges are different. How I deal with the current situation of COVID-19, and at the same time to fulfill the client requirement. We admit that COVID-19 has an impact to the research time frame, but again, research is all about problem solving and how we solve this problem, because at the end of the day, the client wish to hear our competency in completing our work, right? The environment, the experience of each research work are not the same due to various reasons, levels and commitment. So this is another point of view, right? Hujan dah kat luar. Remember this, and a reminder to myself as well. Life is not all about you or about what you want. While I was busy doing my PhD, I was approached by a grandmother of this little boy at my kampung. She is my mom neighbor. She was sad because her grandchild was not very good at school. He failed most of the subject, and she was worried if he failed his PMR examination. At that time, if I wished to coach him, I only had less than 6 months of coaching. He did not attend any tuition class because of some financial factors and was not keen to study. At that time, I was in my first year and was also struggling doing my proposal, yet God sent me this test. My mother was worried because when I decided to coach this boy, I also called few kids to come to my parents' house. I volunteered to coach them to do exercise on school subject every once a week, and my mother was worried if I lack of focus. At that time I was pregnant too, and everything was, haywire. But I really did coach him. I realized that not everybody has an opportunity to send their kid to tuition or what. Even though this boy did not pass with flying colors, but at least he passed the critical subject. That contribute a smile on the parents' face, and of course a little satisfaction to me. This is a bit complicated for me to explain. I hope you can digest whatever I said. What I'm trying to say here is, if you are looking for something good in your life, like doing the PhD to enhance your career or what, there will be a test for you, whether you realize it or you don't realize it. Allah wants to test with what you have as a sign that whatever you possess in this life or your present is not just for you, for your own benefit, but it must benefit others. Trust me, you need to pass those tests in order for you to pass whatever you wish to pass. Oh, it's getting heavy raining outside. If you do good in life, you help others, you rajin sedekah, you taklukki ilmu, insyaAllah you will find ways in anything you do in life. At the same time, of course, in anything we do, we need to possess good personality trait. People must trust you in the first place. Discipline and manage your time accordingly. The most important thing is that you need to give yourself time to learn, and the process of learning is not like mathematics, 1 + 1 is 2. Some people will take more time to learn and understand. To some people, they are fast learner. Whether you complete your PhD study on time or not, it doesn't matter, so long you complete it according to the time frame given. From 3 years to the maximum of 7 years is not an issue. The learning process is the matter. Whether the knowledge you gain or you have is not something truly yours. You share, you help others with your knowledge, with your position, so long you did not against any boundary. Thank you for listening, and insyaAllah I will share another reflection on my PhD journey. Maybe you can give me some idea on what you want to hear from me. To all of you, who are still in this PhD learning process, keep on learning, and inshallah, with Allah blessing, you will manage the PhD accordingly. And so long you willing to learn and keep on moving. Thank you very much to all who watching this video, and I love you. Bye. Assalamualaikum.